Hello, I wanted to share my experience with meditation and 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats. I've been meditating for the past few years, but this recent period of the past few months has been the most productive that I've been with meditating. I discovered the meditation practice through meditation retreats, Vipassana, and I discovered these, well, firstly through my uncle, who's been on his own kind of personal journey, and discovered them, and also through a trip um, to India that I attended with friends. We were in Mumbai and we visited this artist's home that had been turned into a gallery. The artist has since deceased, and a lot of his quite captivating paintings had these motifs of a meditating man, of a meditating figure. And I thought, gosh, what is this practice that has had such an effect on my uncle, and also had such an impact on this artist to the extent that they've celebrated the practice through art. And so I decided that when I had to come back to London, I would sign up and go, and I did. I think I signed up something symbolic like in January, right at the start of the new year. And so I went during the winter time, and I've been in the summer and I've been in the winter, and there's benefits and limitations with each. In the summer, all the plants, because the places are usually in quite beautiful surroundings, that all the plants are in full bloom. But it's also really hot. I went during a heat wave, and in the winter time, um, it's cold, it's wet, there's no beautiful plants, but that's probably conducive in some ways to focusing on the meditation. Um, when you arrive, assuming you've registered and have arrived there, you will be allocated a room. Men and women are kept separate. The first day is the only day you get to mix and speak to one another, the first and last day. And then that evening on the first day, noble silence, as it's called, will begin. And you're not allowed to speak. You're not even really supposed to look at other people. You're supposed to kind of be totally isolated. And it's a story for a separate time. But during my second visit, I was actually allocated a room the size of a broom cupboard. It was dark. There was nothing but a cushion in there, and I was there for like 6 hours a day, just meditating with breaks, of course. But the noble silence is really important. Some people absolutely love it. Some people loathe it and find it uncomfortable. I found it great. Easy. The silence isn't the hard part. It's the sitting down, meditating for 8 hours a day, which is actually quite physically challenging. Um, the noble silence is important because it enables you to properly focus on meditating, and in a way you become aware of your own mind in a better way, in a clearer way, in a way that you don't really get the opportunity to in normal life, because there's so many distractions, noise, signs, signifiers. And it's really conducive to that. And while you're there, you will learn the technique of meditating in the way that is specific to Vipassana, and it involves body scanning. And actually, it's a similar technique that other meditation techniques employ. And even if you use the Headspace app, it's the same similar kind of technique used for that. But with this, because you're there for 10 days doing it for 8 hours, and it is guided, the meditation, you will really learn it, and it's something that you can take with you in life, through life, which is exactly what I've done. And so I said it's guided, so it isn't strictly silent, in the sense that you are guided through the meditation through recordings from the late Essen Goenka, who is a Burmese man who has also since passed away, and he left behind the legacy of these Vipassana centers, over 100 of which exist over the world. And you will also hear his discourses in the evening. So at the end of each day, after the penultimate meditation, you'll hear like an hour-long recording of him speaking about life, the meditation practice. A lot of it you all chime with because it syncs up. A lot of the stuff he says, depending on the day, lines up with your own personal experience. But there's also things about life that I found myself connecting with as well on like quite a profound level. Some people really connect with the recordings and these discourses. Some people really like them. Some people don't really care for them at all. Some people find them really esoteric. I personally was able to translate that anything esoteric into something secular. And often you'll find the esoteric, like the word karma, there's a kind of there's a secular version for it, which is conscience. And you might find that with actually a lot of other terms and words used. The whole thing is, as they like to emphasize, non-sectarian. There's people from all walks of life that attend. I personally don't believe this practice conflicts with any religion or belief. Um, and these days, meditation is there's kind of like a mindfulness based cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's used in medical settings. And so it's really been taken and applied in a kind of very conventional Western sphere. So I think the meditation practice itself isn't, yeah, I don't think it's, while it does come from Buddhist tradition, I think you can essentially be any religion, any background, and derive value out of it. Is what I'm trying to say. Um, you're you are given food twice a day, breakfast and lunch, and if you're a new student, you also get fruit in the evening, which is more than adequate. It's vegan, vegetarian food. It's delicious, um, and you don't need more than that. Eating too much is not conducive to focusing on meditation, as anybody who's fasted will tell you and can attest. Fasting, you kind of are more clear-headed, at least I am when I do it. You're given food, hot water, a bed. All you do is meditate. The experience is totally free. The whole the whole experience is run on volunteers and donations, and this is important. This is also a legacy left behind by the SN Goenka, because for two reasons. It enables it to be accessible to all, and also it enables it not to be tainted by money, because if you charge people, then they'll measure their experience up against how much they've paid, and if you take money out of the equation, people can't do that. And so it gives them it develops a fair and, I suppose, a clearer experience for people. I found the whole experience was very moving, very profound. Um, at the end, you're very sensitive to the world. You've basically restricted dopamine for like 10 days. You've not had your creature comforts. You've not had your phone or anything like that. And I found myself a lot more aware and almost hyper aware. I could hear every flap of a bird's feather, every conversation, every car horn around me. I was really aware of all the sights, all the sounds, like they'd been amplified. And this again can be a disconcerting experience for some people. And it kind of enabled me to see the extent to which I wasn't as aware, or rather that there's a level of awareness that a lot of us just are not able to tap into. And there's probably an evolutionary advantage to not being hyper aware in that way. There's no reason to necessarily hear and see and be that attuned to things. But a benefit of realizing that meant that I was a lot more focused and present. My mind wasn't in the future or the past. It was locked into that very moment and locked into the person I was conversing with or the task that I had at hand. And I think this was positive. Would I recommend the experience for people? I would say yes. If you've got the itch to go, if you're meditating or are curious, I would say go. I hesitate to recommend it to everybody because it isn't for everybody. Nothing is. Um, but I think people who are thinking about going will go and leave positively. A lot of the people I met there were really interesting people. They all had their own kind of unique experiences and takeaways. Um, and yeah, I do recommend it. If you've got questions about the experience at all, I'm happy to answer. But yeah, I just wanted to share my experience, and I hope it has been useful in some way. Thank you.